Hey guys, this is Futureriffs, and today we are definitely going to be covering Cool Chords for Songwriters Volume 2, but it's also October, and I'm not going to do anything until I eat candy. I mean, that's just how I feel. Alright, but this has a bite taken out of it. Alright, so in Cool Chords for Songwriters Volume 2, I want to show you guys a set of chords I use all the time. I have used them on the channel before, but I want to go more into depth on them and kind of explain how useful these chords are. This is a set of chords specifically in the key of D that are open. And what I mean by open chords is I have open strings involved in every single chord. If you've already learned your power chords and maybe some bar chords, and you haven't seen this chord set that I'm about to show you, you're going to be shocked that you haven't come across it because of how easy and accessible it is. But there is a trick to it. The way I'm going to be playing it today, it only works in the key of D because I'm using an open D string, and I'm going to be using only chords in the shape of, or in the key of D. So let me walk you through these chords. I'm going to play a little riff in these chords to start. So I think we've visited these chords a couple times, but I've never gotten really in depth with them. So let me explain what's going on here. I have two chord shapes. I have a minor shape and a major shape, and then they all incorporate an open D string. So let's start at the lowest one we're going to use for this video, which is going to be the F sharp minor shape. I can't call any of these chords true to their names because they're adaptations for the key signature. So F sharp minor is going to be fretted 2nd fret on the E string, and then we skip 2 strings and we use 2nd fret on the G. And then I also, with my pointer finger, I'm doing this finger style, by the way, today, guys. We can play with a pick if we want to, but I like oh man, I'm going to make the worst pun ever. I like the hands-onness of doing this finger style, and I think it's a really good skill to develop anyway. So, F sharp, 2nd fret on the E string. We're not using the A string at all. My pointer finger is going to man the open D string, which is going to remain open through the entire exercise. And then my middle finger will be covering the G, which is 2nd fret as well. You get this awesome, awesome F sharp chord. Kind of happy sounding, kind of uplifting sounding. Really like it. So that's my minor shape. They're straight across from each other. You can always know that they're going to be in the same fret. So let's go to another minor chord just so I can kind of prove my point here. So we've got 2nd fret for F sharp. Let's go to B minor. B minor's at 7th fret. Both of my fingers are on 7th fret. One's on the E string, one's on the G. That won't change. So that's my B minor chord. F sharp minor, B minor. Love those. Okay. Then my major shape, we'll use G first, is going to be 1 fret apart. So the only difference is that my ring finger is 1 fret higher. Still on the G, just 1 fret higher instead of being parallel. So this one's going to be, for the G chord in this particular setup, is going to be 3rd fret for my pointer finger, skip the A string, go to the D string, that one's open, and then on the G, I'm going to plant my ring finger at 4th fret. So 3, skip a string, open string, then 4th fret. To prove my point, let me slide around a little bit. A is also major in the key of D. So that's going to be 5th fret and 6th fret. So you can see that there's a little bit of a pattern there. So you've got minor shapes, major shapes, minor, major, major. Now, a lot of times, especially if you're a player that plays alone, or you're a songwriter and you play a lot of acoustic guitar-led things, one thing that I know we've all come in contact with that is a huge pain in the butt and a big mood killer is dead space. Have you ever finished a song and there's nothing going on in between the song you just finished and the next song? Or you're changing through chords and there's air gaps in between each one of your chord changes, and it just doesn't sound full like it does when you have other people playing with you. But maybe you don't have any friends, or maybe you scared all your friends off for some particular reason, and you need to sound full by yourself. Open chords really help because those open strings ring throughout all of your chord changes, especially if you're careful. You can always accidentally mute them with your hand, do that type of thing. But in this case, we'll be pretty safe, I think, the entire time. So let's come up with a couple chord progressions here. The key of D has 2 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and its relative minor is B minor. So that's the 6th chord in the key signature is B minor. In any key signature, in any major key signature, the sixth note in is the relative minor. So I'm going to do a chord progression based around B minor. So we're going to go B minor, A, D, G. So that's going to be 6, 5, 1, 4. So on top of getting a chord lesson today, I'm going to do some fingerstyle stuff too and explain it. One of the main fingerstyle techniques I like to use on this particular set of chords is this thing here. Now, this is a percussive thing. I am very used to accompanying myself. I like to play multilinear guitar parts where there's more than one thing going on at once. That way I don't need as many friends as maybe the average player needs. I don't know. I just like the way it sounds. I think it's really cool. I come from a classical background. I play a lot of cello and I play piano. I like the idea of having accompanied parts. It's really cool to shred single lines, don't get me wrong, but it's also very cool to have your own bass lines. So this has a percussive feel to it. There's something going on in my right hand that I have to show you. So B minor, I'm holding my B minor chord. I'm plucking with my thumb and my middle finger, so I'm getting the 2 fretted notes. Then I play my open note, and then I come down on my E string and just make a click sound. Click, clack, chuckity sound. So now what I do after that is I pull that E string back off because I want the tone from it as well. So I go. So I get these notes. Boom. The last step of this particular picking pattern is my pointer finger hits that D string again. You'll also notice that I do not vary which fingers play which strings in this particular picking pattern. Your thumb's playing E string, your pointer finger plays the open D, and your middle finger plays G exclusively. There's not any particular reason to switch them around at all. Matter of fact, I think it would just mess you up. Go ahead and assign those fingers to those strings. Get your hand close. Try not to go too far away with all these different exercises. Keep a low profile, and you'll be fine. So let me run through that little picking pattern again so you guys can do exactly what I'm doing. So, pluck, open, chuck, pull, open. Now, if I take just that and move through our chord progression that we came up with a second ago, which I do believe was 6, 5, 1, 4, yeah, it's going to sound like this. So in all honesty, though, probably the hardest part about that is that picking pattern. But I'll tell you this right now, being that vocals are not my primary by any means, not even close. They're way down the list. So singing for me is, you can force me to sing backup and I'll gladly do it, but that's about it. You can absolutely handle playing these chords at that level of complexity and singing lines over top of it, no problem. If I can sit here and talk to you and play these parts, you should be just fine. Now, there's a lot of different picking patterns that we can incorporate into these chord progressions here, but let's go ahead and let's set up a second chord progression using the exact same features, but just a different order. And let's come up with an additional picking pattern that we can do. How about something more folky? It's October. That's kind of folky music month. It's fall. It's outside. It has a particular feel to it, right? So we're going to do a 6-5-4 for the second chord progression. I lean towards 6-5-4s really hard. I really, really like them. I think they're really cool sounding. And for you guys that haven't watched my Nashville numbers video, go check it out. That way, when I say numbers like this, it's not like, what did he just say? Those aren't chord names. What I'm referring to when I say 6-5-4 is a B minor being the 6th of the key, an A major being the 5th of the key, and then a G major being the 4th of the key. So I'm just descending. B. But I like complicated rhythms because I was always and am still actively bad at them, so I like to work on them as hard as I can. One big thing, if you guys are sheet music readers, rhythms, like high notes on an instrument, low notes, whatever, I can figure all of that out. But then throw a bunch of weird, like, dotted 16ths and 8ths in there and see if I can make my way through it. It is challenging. I always have to like really take my time and figure out the rhythms and things. Matter of fact, I have a lot of students who are a lot more gifted at reading the rhythms than I am. It's just a struggle that I need to work on. I need to not have any excuses for it, so I just need to work on it. But check this one out. This is going to be a complicated rhythm right here. So we're going to go B, so 6. I'm going to do a hammer on to 0. 0 on the E string is E, and E is in the key of D. So by playing a hammer onto E, I'm not breaking key signature, and it's going to sound pleasant. Especially with the G chord, being that the relative minor of G is E minor. So you can get this really cool sound. So check this out. This is the technique I'm doing. It gives me extra notes without working any harder. I'm starting with my pointer finger off of the E string, hammer on to E, open D, 4 on the G. To make it fit in the phrase, I'm going 1 E and a 2 E and, 1 E and a 2 E and. So you can get this really, really unique folky rhythm, but you're not working any harder. It's just a syncopation. It's getting your left hand and your right hand to communicate well. A lot of people might struggle on the hammer-on portion of it, and a little tip for that is making sure that you stay way up close to this, to the next fret. You always want to hang out as close as you can to the next higher fret number, because the string that you're pinching down has to travel to that fret to make that note you're trying to make. So the less distance it has to travel from where you're pushing it down into the fret space, the better, and the better tone you'll get. If you hang out in the back of your frets, you'll get these kind of farting sounds. Oh, my volume's off, hold on. There you go. If I hang out in the front, perfect clean tone. In the middle too. The middle is sketchy because you never know how far in the middle is going to be, closer to a fart sound, so I would just hang out in the front. So especially when doing hammer-ons. Okay, so now let's run through this one. We're doing 6-5-4, and I might throw in some variations, and I'm definitely going to throw in those hammer-ons. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't explain the right hand part. My bad. So the right hand part here, we have the same fingers assigned to the same strings. We have thumb on E, pointer finger on D, middle finger on G. So pinch with your thumb and your middle finger, pointer finger by itself, thumb by itself, middle finger by itself, and then pointer finger by itself. So let me do it all really slow. Pinch, pointer, thumb, middle, pointer. Pinch, pinch. So it restarts at the pinch. And for that little hammer-on thing, I just turn my roll around. Instead of doing what's called a backwards roll in the banjo universe, I'm doing a forward roll. So I'm starting with my thumb, pointer, middle. So we have... This seems to make more sense that if you're doing the hammer-on that low string, that you'd start your roll that direction instead of ending that direction. But okay, so these are wonderful, wonderful open chords in the key of D, and I want you guys to apply them, write songs, tag us in the songs, use these chords. By no means are they mine. All chords are everyone's chords. So just give them a shot. See if you can incorporate them into something super duper cool. Like and subscribe, comment, do something spooky for Halloween. If we can be involved, let us know. Thank you, homies.